Lawmakers on Capitol Hill introduced a bill last week aimed at barring children under the age of 13 from accessing social media platforms. The bill would require parental consent for minors between the ages of 13 and 17. It is the first major bipartisan effort in Congress to restrict platforms for children. The move comes as lawmakers push for safer online networks. And joining me now is Claire Morrell, Senior Policy Analyst at the Ethics and Public Policy Center. Claire, great to be with you today. First off, what more can you tell us about this bipartisan legislation, why it's important, also what it seeks to do?
Yes, absolutely. So this bill would really put the power back in parents' hands over their children's social media use. Because to date, anyone could just go on and make a social media account. There wasn't meaningful age verification. All it requires is that you just type in your birth date. And so we know children 8 to 12 have been all over these platforms. So this bill would both ban social media for children under the age of 13 with an actual effectiveness. So the current federal law, the Children Online Privacy Protection Act, has said companies can't collect data on children under the age of 13 without parental consent and set the de facto age for social media to 13 without any real enforcement. And so we know kids under that age are on the platform. So the bill first seeks to actually meaningfully enforce that age, and then on top of that, require parental consent for any child under the age of 18 to get on social media, really restoring parental authority and power over their children creating a social media account, as well as banning algorithms. I think this is a really key piece. We know these platforms are really set up and designed to addict our children. It's a predatory industry. Our children are the product. They are trying to extract their data, time, and attention. And one of the ways they get children hooked is through algorithms. And the bill would ban the use of algorithms for children under the age of 18.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up that things about social media under age of 13, because I know Instagram already requires that, the children have to be 13 before they can create an account. And if you have children, especially teenagers like I do, you know how tech savvy they are and crafty, and they always seem to find a way to find a workaround. If this is passed, how effective will you be with that? I mean, how do you think that will be, the legislation? How effective will it be?
I think, it will depend on the enforcement agencies that are empowered in the bill. But what I'm really encouraged by is I do think this will be more effective than the kind of current system that we've had in place for two reasons. The first is that it would really put the onus on the companies to show that they know a minor is over the age of 13 to allow them access. And so it basically requires the companies to say you need to know or reasonably believe that someone is over the age of 13 to allow them to create an account. So it puts a stronger barrier in place. And the second thing it does is it empowers not only the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, to enforce the law, but also state attorneys general. And I think that's really key, because we know that sometimes big federal agencies are slow to move. It takes them longer to put together a case. And so allowing state attorneys general to bring suits against companies for a lack of abiding by this law would really actually give it teeth and allow it to be effective, because we know state attorneys general can be much more nimble and responsive if there is a violation of the law.
Yeah, Claire, we're almost out of time, but I want to talk about this. I know you wrote an op-ed that was published in Newsweek where you write about 2 new social media laws in the state of Utah. Could you tell us more about that? I know some critics claim that these new laws are a form of government overreach. So talk to us about that, and how do we balance the safety of children while still protecting First Amendment rights?
Yes, absolutely. So the social media laws in Utah did something similar to what's being proposed in the federal bill. It now requires parental consent for a minor under the age of 18 to form a social media account. And it also actually gives parents full access to what their child is seeing or doing online. So parents wouldn't just consent to creating an account, but they'd actually have oversight and access into seeing what their children are doing, who they're interacting with. It also does ban algorithms like this federal bill aims to do as well as an overnight shutdown of social media for minor accounts from the hours of 10:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. So it's much more comprehensive than the federal bill. I think, though, that people often will raise First Amendment concerns. And again, this is not going to restrict the speech of adults in any way. It's mainly just trying to re-empower the parents to have authority and oversight over their children's communications. And there are several Supreme Court precedents that supports parents' rights to control the flow of communication and information to their children to ensure that it's appropriate for them. And so this law would absolutely be constitutional, and I hope other states will follow suit to protect our kids online.
Well, Claire, thank you so much for being with us and filling us in on all of this. We appreciate it.